Carly says, hi, Raf. I had a client say months ago she had a sore knee for several weeks after doing a movement which was just a side lying movement, bending and extending one leg up to the side. In other words, lying on your side doing like lifting the leg up, or maybe bending and straightening the leg up towards the ceiling. So that sounds like what I'd call a side leg lift or a développé maybe. And I thought, but how could you have a sore knee from a movement with no pressure or resistance apart from gravity on the working leg? Good question, Carly. Excellent question. She blamed it on not doing much exercise prior to the class, but I still felt like it was my fault in a way. Also, is there a limit to how many questions I can ask? Carly, there is no limit. In fact, Magda's asked 3 this week. I'm not sure I'm going to get to all of them because I have a time limit on how long I can spend on this, but I will get to them next week if I don't get to them this week. So this is actually a question you asked last week along with your other one, so I'm getting to it this week. All right, back to your question. Lady lying on her side, lifting her leg up, has pain in her knee, not your fault. Pain is not your fault. It's one of those situations where it's just the human condition. So if you're listening to this or watching this now, if you've ever had pain in your body, raise your hand. Hey, everybody listening to this is raising their hand right now because everyone gets pain. 9 times out of 10, we don't really know what causes it. It just comes for no apparent reason, goes for no apparent reason. Think headaches, think low back pain, think sore shoulder, think sore neck, think sore knee. You know, these things just come for no apparent reason, then go for no apparent reason. And so they're very poorly understood. So definitely not your fault. How could you have pain with no pressure? Really good question. Well, if your mental model, if your assumption is that pain indicates damage or wear and tear or excessive pressure on a joint, then that is a head scratcher. And I'd be thinking like, well, how the heck can you, there's virtually no pressure on the joints, like there's not even body weight on it. And that is why I would suggest that you update your mental model of what pain is. So pain is rather than thinking about pain as being an infallible indicator of tissue damage, I would encourage you to think of pain as being really just an output of the brain when the brain perceives too much threat, basically. Now, why do people get pain? Well, you know, this isn't an accurate physiological explanation of why people get pain, but it's, I think, a pretty good metaphor, and it's the cup of resilience. So imagine that you have a cup, and it's basically how much resilience that you have, and you can pour stuff into that cup because stuff always happens in life. Stuff that challenges your resilience. So like not getting enough sleep. So pour in a bit of not getting enough sleep. Okay, and then we might pour in a bit of financial stress. And then we might pour in a bit of relationship stress because you're fighting with your spouse because your financial stress is stressing you out. Then we might pour in a little bit of, a fight with your boss. Then we might pour in a little bit of low physical activity. Then we might pour in a little bit of not eating enough good food and having too many coffees. And basically, when you pour in too much, the cup overflows. And the overflow could often be pain. Sometimes it's other things like, when you get run down, when we get run down, typically each of us has a pretty familiar pattern about how, physical symptoms that we get when we run down. Like, so for me, I get a kind of crick in my shoulder where it joins my neck on the right side here. And when I get that, it just tells me like I haven't had enough sleep. I haven't been looking after myself well enough. And if I really get run down, I get kind of a sore throat. And it's not, I don't have a cold. I don't have any kind of, infection. It's just like I get a sore throat. And as soon as I have a good night's sleep, it goes away. And so I imagine for most of you listening to this, watching this, there's something similar for you. When you get run down, you have some particular sort of physical manifestation or set of sensations in your body that tell you it's like, oh yeah, I'm run down. And for some people that is pain, and so that could be the situation in her knee. And so the things that I would advise to alleviate that for her are, number one, just do more exercise. try not to worry about it. Number two, think, ask her, have you been sleeping? Have you been looking after yourself? Have you been under a lot of pressure, lately? And often, the answer will be like, oh yeah, I haven't been sleeping that good. Sleep's a massive contributor to pain. So I would just suggest thinking about those things. And if you wanted to do a little experiment biomechanically, it might also, temporarily alleviate her symptoms if you just change the position of the leg. So if you literally just rotate the leg out a bit or rotate the leg in a bit or roll her hip back a bit or roll her hip forwards a bit, sometimes just changing the context, changing the physical position might move her away from what's called that sensitized position and allow her to be more comfortable in the movement. But it's not because her initial position was wrong and a new position's better. And there is no better position, but just a different position might be alleviating. Don't focus on it. Don't worry about it. Pain goes away much better when you focus on something else, distract her, and distract yourself. So I hope that helps.